Good morning, everyone. It's our pleasure to have with us Professor Raninder K. Majumdar. Sir is head of Department Fish Processing Technology and Engineering, College of Fisheries, Lambuchera, Tripura. And the topic chosen for deliberation is judicious utilization of fish processing wastes. Sir, you're audible as well as visible, and your presentation is also visible. Please
Yes.
start. Sir.
Okay. So first of all, I convey my sincere regards to the organizer for allowing me or to include me in this very esteemed training program for 21 days. So my topic is judicious utilization of fish processing waste. So we are producing fish. Our consumption of fish is also increasing. Production is also increasing. Side by side, there is also increasing the waste. So how to manage this waste? Because waste, it is called waste if there is no technology to recycle it for the benefit of the mankind. So here I will discuss what are the different strategies we can take, what strategies are at present to utilize this waste. Now, just let us see the global scenario of fish production and utilization. So all of you know better than me because in 2000, from 2010 to 2019, about 40 million ton fish production has been increased. And if we just consider to some extent it is more in 2018, out of 179 million ton in 2018, out of this total 88% fish is consumed for the direct human consumption, and for non-food use is the 12%. So world aquaculture production of the farmed aquatic animal is growing and at an average of 5.3% per year during the period from 2001 to 2018. From 1961 to 2017, our population, because our fish consumption rate is increasing so fast. In 2018, the per capita consumption was 20.5 kg, where in 2009 it was in a single digit, about 9.5 kg something. So and it is also outracing our population growth. Our population from 1961 to 2017, our population growth per year is 1.6%, whereas fish consumption is growing at the rate of 3.1% per year. So now to extrapolate that thing, about 27 million tons of fish will be needed to maintain this present level of consumption in the year 2013. Our status of Indian fisheries, all of you know. So now coming to the main topic, the waste generated in the fish processing industries. About 70% of the fish is processed before its final sale. Either it is in the market or it is in the processing plant. And a significant amount of this part of the fish is wasted, which is about 30 to 80%. And moreover, in fish filleting plants, about 75% of the fish is the leftover, which includes scales, guards, heads, even the frames, all these things. So moreover, a significant amount of fish is not consumable or is not getting good market, so they are discarded even in the sea itself, or they are discarded after harvesting from the shore. And in an estimate annually about 100 million tons of fish is discarded globally as fish waste, and in India this figure is approximately 4 million tons. So out of the total fish production, about 75% of it is utilized for the processing. Now coming to the biochemical composition of the fish waste, this is the biochemical composition of the fish waste, and actually the biochemical composition of the fish waste is related to the biochemical composition of the fish, and which is also a variable depending on the season, size, sex, whether availability of the food, water temperature, habitat condition. All these things are important, and that decide the biochemical composition of the fish waste. Moreover, you know the fish protein, it's important and it is comparatively better than the plant protein because it contains some essential amino acids like lysine, methionine is higher concentration. Moreover, the amino acid status of the fish protein, the amino acid ratio, it is just comply the FO reference protein. and even it is almost same as per the requirement of human and animal body. So fat, it contains monounsaturated to highly unsaturated fatty acid that all of you know. Moreover, fish contains all the minerals and vitamin, all the vitamins except vitamin C and K, and all the B group vitamins. Moreover, fish protein or fish also contains some other unknown growth factors, which are very much essential for the to convert this fish waste to the fish meal and fish oil. Now let us first see the well, actually presently these fish processing waste or fish waste are discarded to the environment without any treatment, which is a havoc for the environment, and it acts as a very important biopollutant. So what environmental and it creates a lot of environmental problems if it is not treated before it disposal. So fish processing plants generates huge load of organic and organic load of both solids and liquids. So this includes the remains of the fish and shrimp after processing, then soluble proteins, fats and oils, then partially decomposed organic matter, pathogenic and other microbes, then different organic substances, inorganic nutrients also, like nitrogen and phosphorus, along with the many others. So these fish waste, once they are exposed to the environment, in the mainly in the fish processing plants in the coastal belt, they generally discharge their solid and liquid effluents to the nearby coastal waters. So in the water body, what happens? The aerobic bacteria, since the fish processing waste are organic, the aerobic bacteria, they act on it, they degrade it, and during their degradation, a huge amount of oxygen is required because it is done by the aerobic bacteria. So it ultimately creates an anoxic condition. It increases the biological oxygen demand, chemical oxygen demand, and creates an anoxic condition in the water body, and which ultimately, due to lack of oxygen, then anaerobic degradation starts. Then decomposition of the organic substances also starts. So all these things, this anaerobic decomposition, they produce different types of obnoxious gases, including hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, including the greenhouse gases like methane, carbon dioxide, and including other organic acids. Moreover, due to this decomposition, several nutrients are released from the decaying organic matter, which promote excessive plant growth and leading to the state called eutrophication. And in this eutrophication condition, this aquatic life is gets low oxygen as per their requirement. Eutrophication also causes major changes in the ecosystem, both in the species composition, and also it also helps to proliferate macroalgae, different filamentous algae, and it also changes the food design of the fish over the large areas. So increase of nutrient level in the water body also causes algal blooms. Profuse algal blooms. These algal blooms subsequently then further reduce the oxygen content of the water body. Moreover, they can also produce some toxin. These toxic algae are also consumed with the fish, which may also create mortality of the fish. So eutrophication is a long-term result, and due to the eutrophication, so many water bodies has also been choked during last few decades. So eutrophication boosts up phytoplankton biomass, extensive decrease in the species diversity, affects benthic fauna, affects nursery and feeding down to the fish. Moreover, it affects the recreational use of the water and the tourism. Now, aquaculture mainly functions. On the artificial food, and fish meal and fish oil contribute a lot for feed formulation of the aquaculture product, mainly for to get the supply of the high quality protein and the lipid source. About 1 kg of fish meal requires 4 to 6 kg of fish, while 1 kg of fish oil requires about 10 to 50 kg of fish, because fish oil content depends on the fish oil content of the fish, and it is highly seasonal variable. It varies from 2 to 25%. And according to one estimate, each year about 60% of the fish meal and 80% of the fish oil worldwide are consumed by the aquaculture sector. And all sorts of fish waste could be easily converted to these two valuable products, fish oil and fish meal. And in future, the availability of the fish meal and fish oil would be the rate limiting factor for the intensive growth of the aquaculture production globally. Now there are some traditional practices for utilization of fish waste. Traditionally, along with the fish and other bycatch, fish waste are also used for the production of the fish meal. Fish meal, you know, it is a highly concentrated fish protein, rich in essential amino acids, big group vitamins, and all other vitamins, and some unknown factors. And it is rich in yeah, amino acid lysine and methionine, which are lack in the plant protein. In one estimate, about in 2008, around 25%, 1.23 million tons of the total fish meal was produced from the fish byproduct. Presently, the major consumer of the fish meal is the aquaculture industry. There was 63%, followed by the pig feed, poultry, and other animals. Another is the liquid protein concentrate, the fish silage. It's the liquid protein concentrates and high biological properties and used in the formulation of the fish meal as a replacement of the fish meal. The liquefaction is achieved by the enzymes already present in the or inherent enzymes present in the fish, but their activity can be increased by providing the suitable conditions at the temperature and the pH. pH can be reduced by the organic acids or inorganic acids, but conventionally, formic acid, 98% formic acid is used for production of the fish silage, and fish silage can also be done by fermentation with the lactic acid bacteria, Lactobacillus plantarum. In the bacterial fermentation, 5% sugar beet molasses are added as a substrate for this bacteria. So enzymatic hydrolysis can reduce the pH to 4 or below 4 for optimum enzymatic activity, and it can also prevent bacterial spoilage. But fish silage, it's one of the disadvantages of fish silage is transport and leaching of the nutrients. But these two disadvantages can be overcome by co-drying the fish silage with the rice bran on the wheat bran at 105 degrees centigrade. So that will help its transport, storage, and also its it will prevent leaching of nutrients from the fish silage. Another use of the fish waste traditionally is the formation of fish manure or compost, where fish waste is mixed with the other plant waste, wood chips, leaves, bark, branches, feed, and are kept kept under the mud, that dug hole under the mud. And this microorganism, they break down the fish protein and all the plant protein, and during this microbial oxidation, enough heat is generated, and that heat actually serve as a pasteurizing effect to this compost, and which eliminates the odor and also kill some undesirable pathogenic microbes. So after several months, this resulted product become a rich humus loaded and good nutrient quality product for the fish culture. Now fish oil are enriched with the polyunsaturated because fish contains highly unsaturated fatty acids, as all of you know, mainly omega-3 groups or omega-6 groups. So fish oil are enriched with the polyunsaturated fatty acids. So during production of the fish meal by wet rendering process, the pressed liquid is further centrifuged to separate oil from the water, and this oil can be purified for the human use, or this can be used as it is for the industrial application. There is a huge industrial application for this fish oil. Now other which are nowadays from the cannery of the crustaceans, the important products are chitin. Chitin is a polysaccharide. It constitutes about 15 to 20% of the dried crustacean shell. Crustacean is a non-toxic, biocompatible, exhibits strong antimicrobial activity against a variety of microorganisms. It is a wide application in pharmaceutical science, in food applications nowadays. So it is a biodegradable product, and it's a wide application in the medical field also. Then deacetylated form of chitin is the chitosan. So chitosan is also having wide application in the medical field. It is used for the high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity, wound healing, blood clotting, and also as the edible film for the fish or other food. So in pharmaceuticals, chitosan is used as a filler in the tablets to improve the way the certain drug dissolve and not to match the beta test. So production of chitin and chitosan from the crustacean cannery is also improved. It's a economically environmental friendly technology, and it increase the economics of the crustacean fishery to a great extent. Now Now these are the traditional things which are going on, but recently some advances are there in the utilization of the fish waste, which I'm going to highlight. Because now this is the time to avoid the purposeless waste. Any waste that should, if it should, we like to avoid any purposeless waste, which could be used or recycled to produce different valuable products for the social and economic benefit of the sector. So several researchers are involved from the globe
جيمي شوف
for
كيس فورورد ريكورد بلاك فانجس شوف
several researchers are involved globally to develop different valorization process for decreasing the fish waste. But in the meantime, we have to be careful also whether there should not be any adverse impacts of this technology to the environment and also to the human health. Now, what we can get from the fish waste? First of all, the enzyme, because the viscera of the fish is a rich source of all the digestive enzymes. Even fish muscle is also source of different types of enzyme. Fish viscera, which constitutes about 5 to 18% of the total fish weight. So it mainly constitutes the protease, pepsin, trypsin, chymotrypsin, collagenase. The fish protease exhibits better catalytic properties at a lower temperature and wide pH range and with low concentration. Both acidic and alkaline proteases are found and they are active, optimally active. Their optimal activity is between pH 2.4 for acidic protease and pH 8.4 for alkaline proteases. So fish proteases have find wide applications in the fields of food, pharmaceuticals, in the detergent industry, in the bioengineering and biotechnology, and also in the fish processing. Now, collagenases, both metallocollagenases and serine collagenases are available in the fish waste. And these metallocollagenases are involved in the remodeling of the extracellular matrix, whereas serine collagenases are probably involved in other complex physiological functions like protein digestion, blood clotting, fibrinolysis, complement activation, and fertilization, and also hormones and pharmacologically active peptides. So fish visceral proteases mainly aspartic proteases. Aspartic proteases are pepsin secreted from the gastric mucosa, and serine proteases is the trypsin, chymotrypsin secreted from the pancreas, pylorhexia, and the intestine. And out of the recently a number of enzymes have been isolated from the fish and shellfish, processing discards such as alkaline phosphatase, hyaluronidase, transglutaminase, and acetyl glucosaminidase and chitinase. Moreover, from the shrimp and lobster processing waste, other enzymes are also extracted. The polyphenolases, carboxypeptidases A and B, trypsin, chymotrypsin, cathepsin, and collagenases. So fish gut and this means from the canary of the crustaceans are important source of different enzymes. Now, what are the role of the fish, these enzymes in the fish processing? Potential application in the fish derived enzymes. So pepsin is applicable in the pharmaceutical and cosmeticals for collagen extraction, therapeutic agents, fish hydrolysis production, and bioactive peptide production. The dairy, it is used for the cheese production. It can replace the rennin which is required for the cheese production. This rennin is generally now obtained from the cow. Now fishery, in case of it can be used for the fish silage production, caviar production, descaling of the fish. In the leather industry, it can be used to remove the hair and residual tissues. The trypsin can be used for the production of seafood flavorant, extraction of carotene protein, production of fish sauce. The dairy also it can be used for the cheese production. The paint industry, it can be used for the pearl essence to give the color of the pearl for the artificial pearl. In the pharmaceutical industries, it can be used as therapeutic agent, wound healing, and the veterinary medicine. The chymotrypsin, it is used for the meat tenderizing. Most important role of chymotrypsin to use as the meat tenderizing, improving food and the nutritional value. Food nutritional value, protein hydrolysis production. In the fishery, it can be used as the bone protein removal. In the dairy for the cheese production, leather, dehairing, wetting, and soaking. And then in the detergent industry, it can be used as a decontaminating agent, cleaning agent. Collagenase can be used in the squid peeling and the softening. You know, it is a very difficult task for the peeling of the squid or to remove the skins of the squid, because if it is not done carefully, it will degrade the aesthetic value of the product. The food meat processing, fish ripening, production of fish hydrolysis, the food processing as a stabilizer and clarifier, lipases, it is used in the detergent industry, in the food as a flavor enhancer, chitinase, it is used in the most in the pharmaceutical industry for the production of chitin and chitosan by enzymatic method, and production of oligomers, and production of glucosamine production. Now, another most important thing, these peptides with the biofunctional properties. This protein, after hydrolysis, we can get different types of short chain peptides, most of which are highly biofunctional. So from this fish waste, several biofunctional compounds have been identified. First one is fish protein hydrolysis. This is done by enzymatic hydrolysis of the fish waste or the underutilized fish biomass. This FPH is having multiple applications in the field of food and pharmaceuticals. What is the role? What are the role of FPH? So FPH, they can improve the water holding capacity in the food system. They can improve the water holding capacity. They can improve the textural quality. They can improve the gelling capacity, foaming capacity, or emulsifying capacity. And they can also act as a cryoprotectant during preservation of fish and should be in the frozen temperature. Moreover, the FPH is also several health beneficial role. It provides several health beneficial molecules such as secretogogues, calciotropic hormones, and different growth factors. Moreover, they exhibit many bioactive properties which are antioxidative, antihypertensive, antithrombic, antiproliferative, immunostimulant, immunomodulatory. But most of the this FPH, it is not getting good market because so many FPH are bitter in taste. This bitter taste FPH is maybe due to some hydrophobic amino acids, but there are continuous efforts is going on to reduce the bitterness, and it is said this bitterness can be removed by using the enzyme flavonozyme for the hydrolysis. Moreover, different other common enzymes which are used for preparation of hydrolysis are trypsin, pepsin, alpha-chymotrypsin, then papain, proteinase K, alkylase, protamase, cleverzine, and then nuclease. Out of these, alkylase and cleverzine most commonly used, and the protamase. So to increase the rate of the hydrolysis, different hydrolytic conditions are to maintain, which are the temperature, then enzyme to substrate ratio, pH, duration of hydrolysis, etc. So the degree of hydrolysis, it's the most important thing which can be determined, and some of the hydrolysis taste better, and this bitterness can be removed by following this by restricting the degree of hydrolysis. Generally, it is said that if the degree of hydrolysis is between 5 to 8, it can remove the bitterness. But moreover, if the more the amino acids, the lesser is the bitterness. Then several application-specific peptidases also can reduce the bitterness. This flavonozyme, this moreover, this hydrolysis, the FPH or bitter hydrolysis can be removed from the mixture of the hydrolysis by isolated purification, if you know the molecular weight or pH or isolated pH of the bitter peptides. Then in the hydrolysis, some of the hydrolysis are bioactive peptides, several bioactive peptides. Bioactive peptides is a very recent research is going on because bioactive peptides they can challenge with the conventional drugs which are used for the maximum to control our blood pressure. The bioactive peptides are actually the short peptides. They remain buried inside the protein sequence, in the parent protein sequence. So by enzymatic hydrolysis, that can be extracted. So bioactive peptides generally they are very short peptides containing amino acid 2 to 20 amino acids, and their molecular weight is not more than 20. So they are recognized as the very useful tools in the field of functional foods and the dietary remedies of different health related issues for health improvement and to improve some chronic health conditions. So expecting a much higher production in the coming 2025, about 196 million tons. There will be a good market for the bioactive peptides in the food industry, and most of which will be collected from the fish waste. So what not the bioactive peptides can do? It is an antioxidative, anti-hypertensive. It can reduce the control the pressure. It can act as a probiotic. It can prevent the clotting of or blocking of the veins or antithrombotic. It can help in the mineral binding. It can help the hypocholesterolemic. It can reduce the cholesterol level in the blood. Antimicrobial, it is also antimicrobial and immunomodulatory. It can boost up the, it can modulate the immune system, and opioid agonistic. Opioid agonistic means opioid is this is some type of drugs which are given to the cancer patient to stop their pain. Generally, morphine is used, but in different developed countries now they are finding the role of bioactive peptides to act to replace the morphine to give the cancer patient a pain reliever. Now, bioactive peptides are generally inactive once they are in the protein sequence. Parent protein sequence, they are inactive, but once they are released after protein digestion, they become very active. So, most bioactive peptides are why it is most important because they are showing the anti-hypertensive effect, which can reduce the it can control the blood pressure, particularly which can block the enzyme angiotensin 1 converting enzyme ACE. It can inhibit the enzyme. So bioactive peptides can be prepared by enzymatic hydrolysis. These enzymes used generally peptide, etc. This peptidization results formation of numerous bioactive peptides which are having inhibitory, which also contain inhibitory peptides. Now the peptides having this inhibitory activity has to be segregated through ultrafiltration, and by other sophisticated methods this can be separated. This by a reverse HPLC or gel formation chromatography. So these are the techniques of isolation of bioactive peptides. Now, because these bioactive peptides are called anti-hypertensive peptides, generally ACE inhibitory peptides are called anti-hypertensive peptides because this enzyme, ACE angiotensin enzyme, converting enzyme, is the most important and involved in the control of the blood pressure in the human body. So generally, it was first identified in the snake venom, and because in the globally this is a 2000 this is a report of 2000. So there is a major threat to human health in the high blood pressure, mostly in the developed countries. You can see from the graph the major threat is the high blood pressure. So now this food-derived bioactive peptides having anti-hypertensive activity is most safe than the drugs which we generally take to control the blood pressure, because these drugs have several side effects including coughing, skin irritation, taste disturbances, dizziness, etc. Now, this what they do now. You can see, you can from this you can clear this. This angiotensinogen, it is actually released from the kidney. Whenever our blood pressure falls, the kidney secretes one component called renin. The renin then converts, because our fall of blood pressure first is identified by the kidney, and then kidney secretes renin. That renin converts angiotensinogen into angiotensinogen 1. And from angiotensinogen 1 to angiotensinogen 2, one angiotensinogen converting enzyme is required. But once angiotensin 1 is converted to angiotensin 2, then it will activate this 82 and 81 receptor, and ultimately they will induce formation of aldosterone, and these will be the vasoconstrictor. They will constrict the blood vessel and pressure will increase. Moreover, this angiotensin converting enzyme is also inactivate one enzyme called the bradykinin. Inactivate one enzyme called the bradykinin, because bradykinin is a vasodilator. So once this angiotensin 1 is converted to angiotensin 2, so pressure will increase, Moreover, the compound which is responsible for vasodilatory, its function will be stopped. But here, if we can use one ACE inhibitor enzyme, here we can use an ACE inhibitor enzyme, any bioactive peptide which has the property to inhibit this ACE, so it will stop this conversion of angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. It will also stop conversion of bradykinin to inactive peptides. So pressure will not increase. Pressure will increase because blood vessels will not be able for construction. This means vasoconstrictor will be inactivated because vasodilator will be activated. So in this way, the pressure will be regulated. This is the general mechanism how our pressure is controlled. Generally there are synthetic angiotensin ACE inhibitor is also available. They can block the action of ACE inhibitory enzyme, but simultaneously it gives several side effects. But food-derived ACE, they can only block the ACE or make the ACE unavailable because they change some, they do some conformational change in the ACE in the enzyme, so the ACE become unavailable to convert angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. This is the mechanism. Now, generally, first it is identified from the sardine meat. Now it is from the shellfish, bonito, salmon, and the fish hydrolysates, and from the different fish weight. These are available. Now, these are also extracted. Now, what are the antioxidant properties of the bioactive peptide? These peptides, they can prevent peroxidation of essential fatty acids because upon digestion of these peptides, since they are very small, they are absorbed to the blood, and where they get phosphorylated. And this phosphorylated peptide, they can exhibit hydrophilic and hydrophilic. Hydrophilic, they can act as an antioxidant. They become hydrophilic. They can act as a hydrophilic and lipophilic antioxidant activity because they can sequester, they can bind with the reactive oxygen species or other metal ions, maybe iron from the blood. So then, in this way, they can prevent or they can exhibit their antioxidant properties. But they can also, the bioactive peptide also can show their antimicrobial properties because generally the bioactive peptides having molecular weight very small, less than 10 kDa, they can show this antimicrobial activity. Now you see, they can they can modulate the host immunity, as I've said earlier, they're immunomodulatory, and they can also enter into the bacterial cell and they can kill they can do the lysis. They can bind with the protein in the semipermeable membrane, and they can lyse, they can make the channel through which the aqueous matters of the bacteria will go out, there will be membrane rupture, and in this way, through bacterial lysis, they can kill the microbes. Now, there are other health beneficial properties from the bioactive peptides. They are anti-inflammatory, anti-proliferative. They can induce in apoptosis. Apoptosis is the controlled cell death. Apoptosis is the controlled cell death, and which is absent in the lymphoma cell. So, hydrolysate can also having potential anti-proliferative activity. Generally, mainly during the breast cancer cell death. Once they are experimented in the breast cancer cell death. Now, other products are gelatin collagen. This is now also this very common to explore, but this gelatin bones and skins are the huge source of this collagen, and gelatin is derived from the collagen through partial hydrolysis. Fish gelatin contributes about 1% of the global gelatin production. Generally, globally, there is some disadvantages, some problems with the fish gelatin, but globally, this generally gelatin is used mainly from the pork viscera or pork skin. Which is used for the coatings of the food and drug and vitamins, micro encapsulation and pharmaceutical additives, as well as for the production of cosmetics, photographic films, and low-set fluids. But nowadays, the global production of fish gelatin is improving. Because earlier there were some disadvantages, and now this is scientists are overcoming this, and the production is increasing, and which can find a wide application in the pharmaceutical industry and in the cosmetic industry. Fish skins collagen and gelatin are devoid of the risk of now in the bovine albumin, in the bovine gelatin, there is a risk of MACA because a lot of gelatin is also from the bovine skin, but there is a problem of this mad cow disease or the bovine spongiform encephalopathy, BAC. So, but fish skin collagen is devoid of these problems. Fish skin is treated with the dilute acid or alkali solution at 45 to 60 degrees centigrade for extraction of the gelatin. But the unit repeating sequence of the gelatin, that is glycine, choline, alanine, is contributes mostly to their antioxidative activity. Now, another important thing which can be extracted from the fish oil is a biodiesel. Now, what is biodiesel, or why is biodiesel? The world, it is the energy crisis is going on because our this petroleum fuel is there is a the reserve of our underground petroleum oil is going to be finished, and there will be a scarcity of petroleum in the near future. So it is important to develop some alternative, and worldwide research is going on to develop some alternative for the fuels. So biofuel, biodiesel is one such alternative outcome of the research. It is alternative to the conventional fuel. It gives clean burning fuel produced from the domestic and the renewable sources. It is environmental friendly. It is biodegradable and non-toxic properties. It is most commonly used as fuel in the automotive vehicle engine. The vehicle which is fitted with a diesel engine can use this biofuel. It can be used. It can be miscible also with the petrol diesel in all the ratios. In 1885, this concept has come by Dr. A. Rudolf Diesel, who first started the diesel engine, who ran this, first developed this biofuel and ran the diesel engine with this oil from the vegetable sources. Now, in India, National Biodiesel Mission is started in the year 2003. What is the comparative difference between the biodiesel and the petrol diesel? Biodiesel extracted from the animal or fat plant, which is extracted from the petroleum. More mileage, lower comparatively less mileage, higher cetane value, lower cetane value. Cetane is actually define the quality of the oil. Then there's greater lubricity, less lubricity, higher flash point. The higher flash point is the minimum temperature once the vapor of this biodiesel will be ignited. Then the lower flash point, 52 degrees centigrade, less smoke, high smoke. Like this, these are the different advantages, different comparative analysis between the biodiesel and the petrol diesel. The properties of the biodiesel is calorific value is 37.27 megajoule per kg. Color varies from golden to dark brown, depends on the color of the fish oil. Flash point more than 130 degree. Density is about 0.88 gram per cubic centimeter. High boiling point, low vapor pressure, immiscible with the water. No sulfur content, high cetane number, extend the usefulness of the petroleum, but is environmental friendly. It reduces the impact of the local environment, and it also increases the energy security to maintain the ecosystem. Advantages are direct from the renewable sources, reduce the formation of greenhouse gases, which we find in case of use of petrol diesel. Higher flash points, safer handling and storage, non-toxic, increases the lubricity. The biodiesel products produced from fish oil had a higher heating value compared to those of animal fat or vegetable oil. This is the more further advantage for production of biodiesel from the fish oil. Disadvantage is cost is high. It increases the nitrogen oxide emission. Poor cold weather performance. The performance is not better in the cold weather, but it is corrosive to the rubber material. More rapid degradation due to oxidation and the hydrolysis. Now, global fish oil market is increasing. It is expected that in 2024 there will be 2,364 US million dollar will be the market for the global fish oil in the 2024. Now, extraction of the crude oil. First, we have to extract the crude oil. Generally, it is done during a wet rendering process. Fish waste plus water, then cooker is cooked under steam, then pressed. After pressing, the crude oil with water is separated. It is centrifuged, then heated to remove other adherent water, and then finally fish oil. And it is also purified afterwards. And after pressing, the cake is whatever cake you get, the cake is pressed, water is removed, and the press is dried. This pressed material is dried. And after drying, we get the Fish meal, this is the traditional method. Now production of biodiesel. Where fish oil is taken, then it is made by the trans-esterification. Alcohol is added for trans-esterification. Then biodiesel and glycerol will be formed. Trans-esterification is done by the methyl alcohol. With the catalyst is used. Generally, sodium hydroxide is used as a catalyst. Then biodiesel and glycerol is separated. The glycerol is separated through centrifugation by 10 minutes at 200 rpm. Then we get the biodiesel. Then it is washed to the distilled water. Then finally it is purified. Then biodiesel. So trans-esterification is, see, this is the triglyceride, where the glycerol is replaced by the methyl group and glycerol is separated. This is simple. Reaction takes place and this is catalyzed by the NaOH or KOH. Simply trans-esterification. Then this is a biodiesel, fish oil, biodiesel. Now simply if you see the flowchart, fish waste, fish oil extraction, the fish oil, trans-esterification process, then we can get the biodiesel. Economic evaluation, after economic evaluation in 2008, it was seen this cost was about 83 rupees. So now if you consider today's, it will be more than 300 or something. So but maybe somewhat less also, but it will be costlier than the this petrol diesel. But if we see the environmental degradation or other thing, that it will be cheaper than the biodiesel. Now in 2004, the city of Halifax, Nova Scotia, they decided to update this bus system, and they run their bus with the biodiesel, the fish oil based biodiesel. So there are so many applications. Even trial uses of biodiesel has been done to run the train in 2007. Then in California, they have also run their aeroplane with the biodiesel. And the power generators also are run to the biodiesel, and these are only the liquid gold. So there are other valuable products from the fish processing waste. One is hydroxyapatite. Hydroxyapatite, it is present in the fish bones, and it's a source of phosphorus. And that is a very wide application in pharmaceuticals, mainly the dental applications as a bone graft material. So hydroxyapatite is used as a bone graft materials, the dental application. And another is glucosamine from the crustacean waste. The glucosamine hydrochloride or the glucosamine and other derivatives of the glucosamine are extracted. They are having wide pharmaceutical application, mainly in the osteoarthritis, knee pain, and the back pain. This is very just for osteoarthritis. Very minimum number of drugs are there, and mostly this is the some glucosamine derivative. The shark cartilage also contain another important substance, chondroitin sulfate. It plays a major role in the function of the articular cartilage, hemostasis, inflammation, cell development, cell addition, and the cell proliferation. So many researches are going on for this chondroitin sulfate, but the extraction of this chondroitin sulfate and glucosamine, pure form of glucosamine, has not yet been standardized in India. So then another is hyaluronic acid is present in the fish eyeball or also in the matrix of the cartilage. This used in the osteoarthritis treatment as a visco supplementation. It is also used in the eye surgery, the wound regeneration, and tumor treatment. Moreover, you also know this suture, surgical suture is also been developed long time back by CIFT from the fish intestine, since fish intestine contains a lot of collagens. So surgical suture has been developed about 20 years back by the CIFT Cochin. The squalene, all of you know, is present in the salt liver oil, highly unsaturated hydrocarbon. It has a wide medical application, like it can be acted as an antioxidant, anti-lipidemic, membrane stabilizing, cardioprotective, chemopreventive, and most importantly, it is anti-aging properties. Even also the anti-cancerous. So the anti-aging properties generally is a very costly lotion or cosmetics uses this squalene because it is very costly material. So now, other than this, so many other things as but I have given some on the recent thinking on this waste management, how this can be done, and not only this management or development of different valorization process which not only reduce the waste, but it will also improve the environmental safety. Moreover, it will develop so many products which will be beneficial for the human and animal beings. So, future market potential for the products from the fish waste is yet to be realized, because for the fish hydrolysates, generally in American and Asian market, there are several fish hydrolysates are available. They are used in the food, the health drink, there is a good market. But in India, that type of market has not yet been developed because the research on this waste is very limited here. Now there is an increasing demand for health and sports nutrition industry for several bioactive ingredients, namely chitins, pigments, taurine, squalene, proteoglycan, polyphenols, probiotics, polysaccharides, enzymes, vitamin, minerals obtained from the fish waste. So in coming future, if this can be extracted and purified, and it can make a good market in the field of health and sports nutrition by providing the purified this materials to the industry. Moreover, the enzymes from the fish mineral waste, they will find a suitable application in the pharmaceutical and mostly in the detergent industry. The detergent industry, generally they need the enzymes which are with pH about 10 to 12, and our fish this alkaline proteases, they can tolerate this pH. So our alkaline protease from the fish mineral will have a good market in the coming days for the detergent industry. But there are so many challenges to materialize all these things, because meaningful fish waste utilization and management through eco-friendly recycling process would not only reduce the amount of the bio waste in the environment, because which will go untreated, which will go to the environment untreated and will create environmental pollution, but it will also substantially push forward the economy of the fisheries sector. Because now, if suppose in a fish processing plant, 75% fish plating plant, 60 to 75% discarded. If this discard some revenue come, ultimately it will reduce the cost of the product. The major challenges are consumer awareness and the education. Our consumers are not aware about that, how whether this product from the fish waste can be utilized, can be used or not. And unorganized nature of this sector poses another problem. Then proper preservation of the raw materials. There is no proper preservation of the raw materials, because raw materials also it is also highly perishable. So once it is not preserved at low temperature or other conditions, or to the refrigerated seawater, so it will lose its functional property gradually. Then processors also least interested to invest on this cold chain management for this discuss. Moreover, there is uncertainty about the economics, the market demand, and the recycled product due to lack of baseline data. Due to lack of baseline data, the producer or the industry, they are uncertain about their market demand. Moreover, in the international market also, there is a lack of any clear legal classification for the secondary products in the international market. Moreover, entrepreneurs for valorization of the fish waste are to be encouraged. The entrepreneurs which are ready to develop some products from the fish waste, which are ready to utilize the fish waste for the product development, they have to be encouraged both technically and financially also. Student research should be oriented toward utilization of the fish waste for the product development. Moreover, industries like detergent, food, pharmaceutical, etc. must be encouraged to utilize the recycled products from the fish waste. So, moreover, lastly, since fish waste is not categorized as inactive, it is not categorized as inactive or inert. Therefore, stringent legal and environmental restrictions discourage the entrepreneurs to invest upon this source for the valuation, because it is not it is not recognized or categorized as inactive. So from the environmental point of view, they prevent utilization of this fish waste for the product. So they have to first not categorized as the inactive or inert. Then there will be no problem from the environmental side. So that can be utilized. Entrepreneur can utilize it or can invest upon it for the development of the different product. All these things, I think due to time shortage, I could not explain all these things clearly. Thank you. If you have any question, please.
Thank you very much, sir. There are few questions in the chat
Yeah.
itself. If you can focus on the chat, would need to stop the presentation. Yes. Go to the Chrome window where we chat. Yeah. Go to the green. Yeah, top right. Yeah, right. Yeah, this one. So it will show you the chat.
Dr. Sundeep Saha, can we use this bioactive peptides as immunostimulant in aquaculture? Yes, sure. Nowadays, fish feeds, they have also started using fish hydrolysates in the fish feed to boost the immune system of the fish. Now this has already been started to utilize fish hydrolysates as the feed formulation. Now for Mrs. Bonidar, there is no specific fishes for the biodiesel production. Generally, any fish waste, any fish processing waste can be used because we need only the oil. We need only the oil, and oil is then converted to biodiesel. In Kaveri Nath, cost involved in the biodiesel production now. What cost I have shown? This is a 2008. A recent for recent, I don't have any such a view, but in 2008 it was 87 like this. Now, if you consider for the present time, it will be more than this. Dr. Subramaniam Saravanan, thank you, sir. Can you mix up with the plant-based biodiesel feed? Yes, sir, that can be mixed. That can be mixed. Santosh Mitter, why Indian companies are not coming up to produce chitin, so it is good. Yes, Indian companies, this is the problem. Indian companies are coming, but they are coming very slowly. So that's why that much market, they are not getting that much of market. But that's why it is also our responsibility to motivate them to provide the data to generate the baseline data. So they will be interested and they will come forward. Thanks, Dr. Selvaraj. We have reports in India production of biodiesel for fish waste and their utilization. Yes, sir. In biodiesel, this biodiesel mission. In the biodiesel mission, they are doing some work. Krishnamurthy Sivakumar suggestion report for utilization of fish market waste. Fish market waste, what can be done? What I have done here from the fish market waste through my student research, I have extracted this proteolytic enzymes, acidic protease, alkaline protease, collagenous protease. I have shown this alkaline protease have a good they are compatible for the detergent industry. That means that was limited up to the student research, but it can be some industry can come forward so that research can be taken up to the industry, so that they can utilize it. Then Brindavan Shahu. Carb fat contains huge amount of oils, of course, mostly saturated fatty acids. How we can avoid it? Now, saturated, no, not saturated. Palmitoleic acid, oleic acids are also there. But because gut is also, once this gut is open, fish is also not only contains saturated fatty acid, it also contains unsaturated fatty acid also. Can the carb gut oil be? Yes, carb gut oil is used in the painting in the leather industry. Any more question, please?
Sir,
Any other question?
Sir, the carb gut oil, how is it used, sir?
What?
Carb gut oil, how is it used? Like, it is what purpose is used?
Now, once oil is extracted from the wet, if it is purified, this can be used for the human application also. Or that can be used if it is not purified. That can have some industrial application, mainly in the paint, the leather industry, the textile industry, that can be utilized. But once it is purified, but for this thing, raw material has to be very fresh. It is waste.
The market, once you are getting it, the raw material quality is not good. That's why.
Yes, because waste, we should not think it is waste. It doesn't require any preservation. It should not be like this. That's why this industry man, they are not utilizing their food. They are maintaining this value chain or cold chain to maintain the quality of the because quality of the raw material should be the first attempt. Then we will get the better quality product from this.
One more thing is that why silage is a value product. It is highly proteinous, but why it is not being popularized to drink up silage, fish silage?
Fish silage, fish silage, there was actually, I have seen in one of my research, I have portrayed the fish silage with the rice bran. I have seen the very 50% growth improvement in case of mother calf fingerling. Actually, there are two problems. One, it is a liquid one. The transportation is one problem. But this problem in other countries, they have portrayed it with rice bran and wheat bran. So that problem has been overcome after portraying with this rice bran or wheat bran. Moreover, this thing, the leaching of the nutrients, it's very fast in case of liquid silage. So portraying also reduce this leakage problem. The storing acetate is also, moreover, it's got give some odd smell. So these are some problems. I think now people are conscious because somewhat because this cost of feed, about 70% of the aquaculture production goes for the cost of feed. So if by using the local fish market waste, we can develop some technology in our level to produce fish food, I think that will help to reduce the economy, to improve the cost of production, so that cost of production of the aquaculture will be minimized.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of the participants and on behalf of the organizing committee, we extend our gratitude to you, sir. It was such a pleasure having you with us. It was such an honor. Thank you for the presentation as well as the interaction at the end. If possible, you could reply to the email with the PPT, and that PPT would be converted to PDF and will be uploaded as part of the YouTube video.
So, sure.
That would be great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being with us. Thank you. Everyone can leave and come back at 2:30 for the next session. Thank you. Yeah, regarding the few of the PPT, one of the PPT was provided to me, and I guess yesterday's lecture, the second one or the first one, I have uploaded it to the correct video on the YouTube channel. You can subscribe and press the bell icon so that you get notification every time we post a video. That would be great. That would be helping the channel, and you will be seeing a lot of good content on that channel also. There is previously posted content also. You can go through that. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.